So tell me a little bit about you and your company and your role there.
Yeah, my name is Sarah Papamichalis. I am half English, half Greek, so very bicultural, and I've lived in the Netherlands for 25 and a half years by now, and many other countries besides. And I've been with Milence for a year and a half almost, and my role specifically is head of product. And this is a very good segue to Milence, because what does that mean, head of product at Milence? It means that myself and my team, we defined and manage the service and the products that our customers and our drivers receive. So what Milence does, to lean on that one as well a little bit, is build charging stations specifically for the e-mobility industry, so e-trucks in particular, but we're now also adding coaches and e-buses without passengers. And in particular, Milence was actually created to build an infrastructure for e-trucks and to decarbonize, as the end result, the very, very, very polluting industry.
So Milence started in 2022 as a startup, and you had this great vision, of course, with decarbonization. Tell me where you are now compared to when it started in 2022.
Well, in typical startup scale-up fashion, I think we're still not sure whether we're a startup or a scale-up. I would classify us now as a scale-up, i.e. we now have scale. We have over 40 sites already built and more coming for this year. We're going to end up with 70 by the end of this year. And whereas we basically were dots on the map when we very first started, we're now building corridors. So basically lines of e-charging stations all across Europe. So you can go from north to south, west to east, dissecting as well. And I think that is the part where we now classify that we're at scaling, because we're now able to offer that corridor to corridor service, basically connecting the whole of Europe.
And Milence is here as a partner for the ESPORG Conference.
Yep.
Can you tell me what you're excited about for the conference?
Well, believe it or not, I elected to come to the conference. I, as head of product, I need to know what's going on in the industry. And actually, anecdotally, I met Dirk last year at another industry event in Munich. And we spent 45 minutes at the stand talking about parking excellence, talking about what we as Milence can learn from other rather mature, I would put it that way, parking establishments. So what I'm excited to hear from is my peers, albeit they are not direct peers, but peers basically, in the parking world. What standards can we do? What small, tiny things can we implement across all our sites which can help? And last time, there were so many ideas floating around that we then took back, and as head of product, that's what I do, define service and then deploy. And we actually then managed to deploy some of those ideas.
And tell me a little bit more about your partnership with ESPORG.
Well, our partnership with ESPORG is, I believe, a small level one. So basically, we're not a massive company. We're only 150 people at the moment. On the other hand, you see Milence quite everywhere, right? I mean, our CEO is also with Ursula von der Leyen when they're having discussions with all of the OEM CEOs and the industry giants. So our partnership, I think, is a mutually beneficial one. We're young, we're new and interesting, so you get something out of us by us presenting to you. But also, you offer us and have offered to help us to fix some of the problems that we have. In particular, for example, in Antwerp with Catenus and Hoordijk sites, right? You're giving us your insights, what you're hearing, but you're also giving us feedback, and you're offering your network to help us fix problems that we need access to specific people to get.
So Milence is one of our signatories for the Wellbeing Pledge, which is very, very dear to my heart because I wrote the pledge.
Well, very good.
I am extremely excited about it, and I just want to know, what does that pledge mean to you? What does well-being mean to you and to Milence?
Well, actually, Milence was founded on the principle that our customer, be that a fleet manager or a fleet operator or whatever, is one thing, but actually the user of our service, and I as head of product am responsible for that, is the driver. And the driver well-being is part of what the foundations of Milence were built upon. The definitions that we have of what service we offer were built with the driver in mind. So we did a huge amount of research before. And we continue to do research continuously on what is it that drivers need. And we have use cases. So drivers who are coming to stay overnight or for a longer stay obviously need different services than drivers who are just coming in to recharge and then go on again. They all say the same thing. They want coffee. That's a given anywhere. And the other fundamental thing that they want is clean toilets, right? Access to facilities. Those are the basic minimums. But apart from that, we're also looking at providing small gyms, just like single bars, or picnic tables so that they can eat outside when it's nice weather. Or conversely, because Sweden obviously has a lot of snow, we have indoor lounges for the Nordics where they also have access to microwaves. And in the south, we have air conditioning units where they can actually go and actually cool off. So those are some of the things that we look at for well-being of the driver. And in addition to that, we're also collaborating there. So we have an ambassador of well-being for our drivers within Milence, who's collaborating with ESPORG on that particular subject. And that colleague in particular is also working with a lot of the communities and the driver communities in the Nordics to basically see what we can gather and then deploy to other sites as well.
Yeah. Okay, and tell us something that we may not know about Milence.
Well, you probably, if you do know anything about Milence, know that we have a female CEO, which I'm very proud of. But apart from that, 40% of our employees are also female. And I don't just mean, general speaking, the normal jobs, but basically also in the technology department, there are female engineers. In the asset management, all over the company, there are females who are actually providing a role in the company, which I think is super interesting in a very techie world. And secondly, even though we're only, I think, 150 people right now, there are about 40 plus different nationalities, which is pretty impressive for such a small company. So 40 and 40.
Amazing.